Most of us, if not all of us, are on a mission to find happiness. Our lives are a race against time as we try to find ways to be happy and satisfied. And now that the media shows us that our friends and family are happy, we feel even worse about how many things we don't have. So we do a lot of work, study, or get hooked on something in order to find a moment of happiness. As I looked for happiness, I noticed a trend in the many times I was able to make myself unhappy. To put it simply, it was when I thought happy was the normal state of affairs, when actually it was the opposite. However, balance is the natural state of things, because that's how the world works. When my ideals and deeds were in line with each other, I went back to the mean. To dive into more details, I'll break it down to the following aspects and tell you exactly how you can make yourself unhappy, with a Stoic quote for each to help you reflect on what would be your next change. Number 1. The relationship with work. There is always room for improvement, but you want to be better because you think you are not good enough and that other people are. You also forget that the only person who really challenges you is yourself. You try to learn and use a lot of things at once, which is hard because there are so many efficiency experts, and each one is promoting a system that worked for them but might not work for you. You work hard at a job that has nothing to do with what you love, and people praise you for it, but you know inside that it's killing you. So, you think about what you would have done if money hadn't been an issue. Putting your feelings aside, you decide how valuable you are by what you can do and give. When you numb them, you start to judge yourself and other people. How much of it would you hold back if you had to? You put inspiration ahead of action. You won't get things done unless you're driven. You know the next job will be a success, so why would you start it when you don't want to? You bet on one road and give it your all, telling yourself that you'll always win. When things don't go the way you want them to, you start hurting yourself in some way. Number 2. The relationship with oneself. Your happiness should come before everything else. You don't do the things that interest you. It's not a good thing to be curious, and adventures are scary. In a state of stagnation, you stay the same because it doesn't drain you. Instead of focusing on what makes you happy, you learn what society thinks you should know. You work out because online teachers set goals that are too high for you, and you don't pay attention to what your body needs. You tell yourself negative things, and the ideas you used to stand for because you don't want to fight, when you can just go with the flow of society. You're not happy with what you have. You're always looking for the best next thing, a better place, or a better city. Everyone wants the best, but do we really need it? You don't have a friend. But when it comes to yourself, you're the worst friend. You're more kind and understanding with other people. You are always reading about and hearing about what's going on in the world. You are afraid of losing out on what a friend from high school is doing, or what an unknown expert said about the economic downturn. You give yourself bad things to think about. 3. The relationship with others. You give other people reasons to hurt you, so you don't have to deal with it directly and lose sight of your own limits. You don't hang out with people who make you feel good. But because you don't want to look weak, you keep to yourself, think about your mistakes, and don't talk about your problems. When you hang out with friends, you only think about yourself. They were mean to you because of you, not because they have their own lives and problems. Your group is made up of people who don't push you to reach your goals. When you talk about your goals, they always put you down because why take a chance on everything? Do you feel like happiness is hidden behind a bunch of Instagram filters? It's time to figure out why so many people in our generation are unhappy and get back to being happy. It's strange that our age seems to be drowning in a sea of sadness in a world full of smartphones, social media, and endless opportunities. Don't worry though, things aren't all bad. We're here to go into detail about the secret reasons why we're unhappy and, more importantly, to give you real ways to escape the unhappy trap. People say that money can't buy happiness. But the drive to be successful financially is one of the main reasons we can't find happiness. With so much student loan debt and a tough job market, it's no wonder that our generation feels stressed out and unhappy. But there's a trick in the story. The path to true happiness is not just a paycheck. How can we describe success in our own unique ways? Let's enjoy the happiness that comes from following our dreams. Raise your drinks because it's time to talk about the drunk elephant in the room. We often party and drink too much as a way to get away from the stresses of everyday life and find happiness. But the bad effects of being unhappy always catch up with us. We can make room in our lives for real happiness and long-lasting satisfaction by using better ways to deal with stress and find balance. No to fun is not the point. The point is to say yes to a more connected, genuine happiness. Even though heartbreak is a normal part of life, it's hard to figure out how to be in a relationship in this digital world. We can feel disconnected and disappointed when we constantly compare ourselves to others, ghost people, and make only superficial relationships. Don't worry though, fellow love warriors. Real ties and satisfying relationships are still possible, even with all the dating apps and swiping. In a world where perfection is valued above all else, let's talk about how to find real love and put your mental health first. Finally, let's talk about the big problem that nobody wants to talk about, social media. The tools that were supposed to bring us together instead make us compare, envy, and see things differently than they really are. We need to disconnect, eat less processed food online, and take back our lives beyond the squares. We can free ourselves from the chains of social media and find true happiness again by making real connections, being kind to ourselves, and finding a good mix between the virtual and the real.